My name is Natalie and I have an interview with a member of the band Sharkeologist on May 28th, 2026. So
All right.
please tell me, who are you? What role do you have in the band? And give me a little history behind the band and who's all involved in it.
Totally. Yeah. My name is Jeff Grant. I'm the founder and leader of this band, I suppose. Sharkeologist has been around since 2024. Um, and we are comprised of five members. We play and are based out of Seattle in the Pacific Northwest up here. And this very day, Natalie, we get to celebrate the release of our third record, an EP, six-song EP we just put out called Taxidermy is Forever, which just dropped this morning. So it's a beautiful day in here in Seattle. And it's like, I don't know, a day of celebration for sure. Some anxiety too, of course, but celebration.
You, of course, mentioned this briefly before we got going. What's the
Yeah,
story behind the band's name? And does it have a
you got
meaning
it.
to it?
It definitely, it definitely does. People get it wrong, mispronounce it all the time. Even like DJs who've played our stuff on the radio, I'll listen in to hear how they sound it on the big stations in Seattle, and they pronounce it wrong all the time. So Sharkeologist rhymes with archaeologist, and the name came from a pet name that I had for a therapist of mine. This is important because like this therapist and I, who was extremely helpful to me for many years, we disagreed a lot about how to interpret the role of sharks in my life. So Natalie, I have loved sharks. It's really maybe the first love I ever had in my life was sharks. I loved the movie Jaws. I loved all four of the Jaws movies, even as they got worse and worse. Didn't matter to little Jeff. I loved them. My therapist was so confused because to him, sharks were such a savage and angry beast, but I didn't see it that way. I saw them as a beautiful, tender creature. And he and I would talk about that and disagree. And to the extent that he helped me better understand the role of sharks in my mind and in my heart, he became my sharkeologist. So this one goes out to my former therapist, who was very, very helpful to me in being my sharkeologist. So I explain all that to you because it's the band itself is a blending of both of those parts of me, something tender and beautiful and something full of rage and sharp teeth and bloodlust. I think our sound is kind of like that. It's heavy at times, harsh, but also I think beautiful. I always try to write melodies that people can sing along to and have a kind of tenderness to them, even if the packaging is vicious and bloodthirsty, So we are Sharkeologists that way, kind of combining the bloodlust and the beauty of my beloved sharks.
So does that mean that all of your guys' merchandise have sharks on it or no?
I debated whether or not I really wanted to lean into that because I didn't want to make us come across like some sort of novelty band. On the other hand, sharks are such an awesome image. So I have one of my kids designed a logo for us that it features her drawing of a shark. And that is now the main logo on all of our social media stuff and on the shirts I'll be selling at our gig tonight. And I cut a deal with her where I give her $5 for every piece of merchandise sold. So she'll pester me tomorrow morning. How much did you sell? How much did you sell? Um, so bad business on my part, great business on her part.
Hmm.
So anyway, yes, so sharks are everywhere, unfortunately.
Do you think that if the shark image takes off, you might have an actual shark appear on stage?
It's funny. You should mention that. A few years ago, I entered in a kind of like an oddities shop here in Seattle, that was selling, they sell like taxidermy and other strange treasures. They had a shark there, like a juvenile shark that had been caught and taxidermied in the 1950s. I bought that shark. And I now bring it to every gig. So if people want to take photos with Shelly, which has become her name, she's always at the merch booth. You can come see and pet and hold and take photos of the real life shark. Um, so anyway, I guess I gave up on trying to avoid the shark imagery. I embrace it whole hog now. So anyway, that's that sharkeologist. It's
Where is your band based out of, and what is the music scene like there? Are there any local bands that you've played with that you would recommend for us to check out?
Yeah, sure. Seattle. I mean, we're based out of Seattle. I mean, some dudes kind of live in the outlying area, but we play in Seattle regularly. It's kind of our scene. Um, the scene here is thriving with many different types of music, though. Of course, like the it's like we're the long tail of the grunge era still is kind of part of this city. Those a lot of those dudes are still around. Anyway, um, yeah, there's a scene of bands around here that are that are trying to keep guitar forward kind of rock music alive, and it seems to be going okay. Bands I would recommend out of Seattle right now that I like a lot and that we've played with, band called Hooligan I like. That's Huligan. They rock and they feel like Alice in Chains to me in kind of a cool way. um but that's not the yeah, I mean the scene is sort of growingly diverse. We've also have kind of like a synth element in our band, so we play with some bands that are trying to mesh rock with synth music. Band called Terra Nobody, like Terra Nobody. Play some shows with them. That's a band with a nice draw and nice following up in the Seattle way. So we're still at a stage though where we're kind of just getting our legs under us, I would say, Natalie. Like we've only been a band for 2 years. We put out
Mhm.
3 albums, but that's mostly because I can't stop playing music, and that's the part I like the most is recording. So
Mhm.
I'll just keep doing that. So I guess yeah, 24, 25, 26, one album per year with probably another one coming up this time 2027. So we're just gonna keep cranking until I don't feel like doing it anymore. But that's not now. That's certainly not now. So and my long-winded answer, Seattle. We're also like other places in Washington and um, Oregon and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm trying to slowly expand the circle.
How would you describe your style of sound to somebody who has never heard your band before?
If you've never heard our band before, one thing that I hear, someone once described us as sexy Weezer. I thought that was interesting because uh, at times we have definitely like the pop rock melody sensibility of like that early Weezer, Blue Album Weezer, definitely has some of that sound. But then also like songs that are much more like kind of Nine Inch Nails kind of groovy. I think of Nine Inch Nails as like a dance band. I don't know if other people, you may not, who knows, but that's the way I think of that band. Like I want to dance to those songs and move to them, even if they're quote unquote hard rock songs. So that's where we get the sexy element because we have more than a few tunes that have that
Mhm.
kind of groove to it. So anyway, that was a compliment. I thought sexy Weezer. So that's we should have been named that. That'd have been way easier to pronounce, I think. Um, but anyway, we're sexy Weezer.
You have just released your newest and latest EP, Taxidermy is Forever.
That's
How does
right.
this one compare to your previous works, the other two albums and singles you've released? Is
It's
there
much
any
less
comparisons or differences?
I would say like the album to me that I feel like it is sort of modeled after, if you're familiar, is the Nirvana album that came out between Nevermind, Teen Spirit, all those hits, and In Utero, their final studio album. They came out with one in between that was called Incesticide. That was like a mix of songs that didn't really fit on any other album they recorded. It was like a couple outtakes, a couple random tunes. That's kind of what this is for us, but it's more than that because you know, I have a part of me, Natalie, that like wants our band to be well regarded and for us to be kind of have a cohesive vision and a unique and like a sort of specific sound that people can identify. But that just ain't me, man. I like writing songs that are I like hard rock and tunes. I like soft folk music. I like dance stuff. I like covering other bands' things in ways that are true to the covers or complete fucking departures, you know? So this record was like me saying to myself, I want to make an album with this band that reflects who I am and how I feel, even if who I am and how I feel is very discohesive and all over the place. So it's like a discohesive and all over the place EP. We have a couple of originals. One sounds like a Paul McCartney song, maybe. Another one's like a Nine Inch Nails type of banger from us. I have another song that sounds like George Michael could have written it in the 80s. That's about how much I hate incel culture and how demeaning that is to women. I wrote a song about that. We've got a heavy metal cover we wrote of Pony, if you remember from the 90s, Genuine was an R&B artist who had that song. You're horny, let's do it, ride it, my pony. Anyway, we cover that in like a metal way, which sort of doesn't make sense to do. And so all these songs don't really fit, but kind of like an oddity shop. It's like a bunch of random things that don't fit in any other store, but they all fit here. That's kind of what this album is. So I feel very proud of it in that respect. Do you know
Well,
that Genuine song? The one I
yeah,
was
yeah,
just
I think
singing?
so. I think I've
Yeah,
heard of it before.
banger, super banger, sexy, sexy.
Uh, While the EP is now out and about, was there any music that didn't make the cut? And are you working on any newer music for the following release? I've interviewed
Totally.
bands where they released, the new album or their new EP, and they're like, "Oh, we're already working on the next one. You just released this one. You're already on to the next one."
Oh, I very much identify with that. Like, I can totally identify with those bands you mentioned. I feel like by the time a record comes out, I feel a little bit sick of it already. I'm very proud of it, blah, 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 blah. But like, a lot of this stuff was recorded a while ago or over a long period of time.
Mhm,
And all the while, like, still writing stuff that I feel really excited about. So that feels like it's kind of healthy, though, in a way, to like be excited about the new stuff, to keep growing artistically. I think our next record's going to be much harsher and much more like a hardcore album almost. Not quite that far, but like it'll be a more aggressive listen. But that sounds
mhm,
fun to me. It sounds cool. And then I have visions of a record that would be much more like acoustic with choral elements and string stuff and writing that record too. So I don't know. I can't bear the thought of not creating stuff. It makes me feel so depressed to think of not making things. But that means I'm always excited about the next thing. I don't want to devalue what we just made because, of course, at one point in time, this was the new stuff, and I feel great about it. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm ready for the next shit. So I think probably this fall, we don't have much booked on the. We got a little tour we're going on, and then some other random shows. But then hit the studio and try to get a record recorded. That'd be awesome. And just keep swimming like a shark, I guess. Just keep swimming.
so what are the plans for upcoming shows or touring? What's on the agenda?
Seattle summertime is a time for festivals and stuff like that. So we're going to play a couple festivals here in Seattle and the air and Washington this summer. Uh, some in-store record performances later in the summer in support of this album, I think. Tour out to Eastern Washington and Idaho with bands we're connected with out there. And then I think the goal will be probably this time next year to try to get down to California. Some bands we're friends with down that way. So that's I given the I already told you I got kids. I don't think I'm built to be the kind of band that's going to be going on a 3 to 6 month world tour. Even if we had the ability to, I don't know that I would do that because I like being sedentary to some extent. I like being here in my house and in my life with my family, but I also want to keep playing music and keep broadening our sound and our audience. So I see us being like if we ended up having a nice kind of a foothold in the Pacific Northwest and on the West Coast of the US and did like other stuff randomly on the East Coast, but stuck to the West Coast, I think that would be totally fine with me, man. And then, in the digital age, like we can spread our shit so wide, we're getting a lot of people from the South who are liking our stuff. So hell, maybe we go play a show in Florida somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I feel at peace with whatever happens here, and I feel really proud of the music, and whatever that transpires after that is cherry on top, I guess. Yeah. If you had talked to me, Natalie, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have said all that. I would have been like, got to be really big, got to keep going and pressing. And I don't know, man. Like that feels sort of embarrassing to admit that I think that way. But probably a lot of the 3,000 people you've interviewed have said shit like that or have felt that way, even if they weren't honest about it. But I don't feel like there's so many bands that I love and respect that probably people outside of the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest would never even have heard of, but bands that like meant a lot to me. I'd like to be one of those bands for somebody.
Mhm.
So,
So besides releasing the EP and having some shows lined up, what else
mhm.
can we expect to see from you guys for the rest of this year? Anything that you would like to announce, or you want to keep everything a surprise?
Let me see. It will be exciting to announce this tour when it comes together. That'll be our first kind of, press in the touring direction. That'll be sweet. Um, I suspect we'll do a video for that song I was mentioning to you. That kind of sounds like a Wham song, a George Michael song. I'd like to do a video for that.
Mhm.
I feel very proud of that song. It sounds totally different from everything else we've ever done. because we
Mhm.
don't sound like Wham. But this one almost sounds like that Last Christmas tune, the Wham song, Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Sort of sounds like that, but it's about a creepy incel guy expecting something from a woman, and she gets so fucking pissed at him for that she literally lights him on fire. It's beautiful because the end of the song, it's like this beautiful groove, and then I'm literally screaming bloody murder as we picture this fucking incel guy being burned alive. Um, anyway, that one I'm going to be very happy to promote and put in the world, but I still got to make a video for that. But that'll be like the later EP promotional push. Um,
Cool.
so I've got like other bands I'm into. So me personally, I've got other shit going on this summer, festivals. I'm playing with other bands and stuff. Um, and when I go to my kids' baseball games, my day job is I'm a psychotherapist, so I've got my patients to attend to. Um, which is work. It matters to me deeply. Um, I don't want to give that up too much. So anyway,
All righty. Um, Whereabouts can we find your band online as far as social media, listen to your music, and can we buy your merchandise online or only at the shows?
no, you can definitely get it through Bandcamp, sharkeologist.bandcamp.com. Available there. I got to get, I mean, it's a one-man shop here, basically. I'm the booker, I'm the manager, I'm the agent for this band at this point. And I kind of feel like it's going to stay that way because I like being in control. It also means that I got a lot of shit to do. So I got to get our merchandise up on Spotify and stuff like that. But that's a place. Sharkeologist.bandcamp.com is a good place. We're most active on Instagram and TikTok. Those are areas where I'm putting a lot of focus. But also like a Substack where I put some like behind the scenes stuff. And let me think where else. Sharkeologist.com is a thing, but that was sort of like a placeholder. I'm not really active there because when I'm trying to learn about a band, I don't think I'm going to their website too much these days. Going to the Instagram, to the social media handles. So that's the best place. And as you know, I'm pretty eminently contactable. Just message me there. You'll get a hold of me. Um, you can have a one-on-one relationship with a up and coming artist. So who likes to talk? Clearly, as you've already been able to tell, I like to talk.
And last question, what is
Yeah.
it you would like the listener to remember the most after hearing your music for the very first time?
Mhm. You've done this a lot and you've got an interesting way of approaching it. I've never been asked that question. Well, what do I want people to come away? I just want them to come away having had a feeling of some kind. I think it doesn't really matter to me um, what that feeling is. I just to have some kind of emotional reaction to what they're hearing. Um, it's tough because sometimes the way I write lyrics and the way I construct the songs themselves can kind of obscure the lyrics. Like this one I was just describing. It's like kind of like a beautiful little synth bop tune that hides this darker, deeper message. Um, I, but if they can't hear that, that's okay. Mostly have a reaction to it of some type that feels emotional, makes you feel something. That's what I would like. Um, I remember once that I heard that the singer for Rage Against the Machine once said that every Rage Against the Machine song is a love song. Um, even if they don't always sound that way, they all are. There's a love in there, a love that's being fought for or protected. And I would say that's kind of the same for our music too. Not that we sound like Rage, but um, at bottom, if it's a conflicted song, if it's an angry song, somewhere in there is a feeling of love. Um, and that'd be cool if people felt it that way. But also, if they don't have their own personal relationship to it, I don't feel like I don't need to dictate what that is. I think a lot of people find us kind of like entertaining, almost in like a silly sort of way, because I can be kind of a ham, especially on stage, jokey. Um, Sometimes that gets in the way of the reception I want, but also, who cares? I don't know. If people give it a try, that's okay. So hopefully, in talking to you, your audience, people will discover, hey, there's this random ass band worth checking out, and they have a reaction to it. That'd be awesome. And share it with your friend.